surprise releases, I've quite a number of strategy sims, a neat horror adventure game, a crafting sandbox that is quietly one of the biggest hits, and of course, some all-action titles worth a play. Let's begin with the 1.0 release of Eternal Edge Plus, a Zelda-style action-adventure title that sure looks to be inspired by Breath of the Wild. You're playing as a warrior trying to reawaken his wife from something known as the Eternal Slumber, where they have to work together to defeat the Skeleton King. It is quite an action-packed title which looks pretty good for what it is with decent combat, but do note that despite it being 1.0, there are still reports of bugs, but if it looks neat, do give this a go. The developer of Sky Caravan is a Brazilian team named Studio Bravada, who you might recognize since I featured their other in-development title on the channel before in the action-adventure game Terra Pulse, but while they were working on that, managed to make and release this game as well. It is a narrative RPG with some gorgeous hand-drawn art where you need to manage your ship, the crew and resources, with quite an interesting science fantasy world to explore. My love for shoot-'em-ups stems back to arcades and the Sega Genesis, where I'm happy to see indie developers carry on that tradition with Super Nano Blaster being a title of interest. The main gimmick here is the ability to switch layers or different planes of the level in order to avoid attacks, with there being 8 unique ships, 7 levels, 5 difficulty modes and 2 game modes, making this one for fans of the genre. A very pleasant strategy puzzle game is Train Valley 2 from 2019, having you build and manage a railway network, releasing the Myths and Rails paid DLC, which adds more content. As suggested by the title, it adds a bunch of fantasy and mythical elements with 20 new levels, station types, buildings, goods and trains, where if you're on the fence, do try the original first. Paper Bride 2 Zhangling Village is a horror point-and-click or hidden object game that is a sequel to a game from last year, where if you're not familiar, is an excellent one of these with great horrific art, clever puzzles, and a Chinese setting, where I always love to see elements from non-traditional cultures finding their way into games, making this a cannot miss. If you love tycoon games, Festival Tycoon is a title to get, essentially having you run something like Coachella, where I'll leave you to the developers.
Perfect weekend. Design the grounds, book the bands, sign sponsorship deals, and build a reputation as the world's greatest festival tycoon. Be a micromanager. Whether it's crowd control or tweaking the lineup, you'll need to plan things right down to the tiniest detail. And don't think you can relax once the festival starts. From babysitting the performers to picking up the trash, it's down to you to make sure everything runs perfectly. Oh, but wait, there's more. Since the game came out in early access, we've added workshop support, new buildings, bug fixes, Oktoberfest, sports grounds, extreme mode, new items, location editor, custom music, bigger maps, day tickets, beer, and loads more.
An underrated gem from last year is Mighty Goose, a run-and-gun platformer that was pretty much Metal Slug Reborn, releasing free DLC which doesn't really have a name, but what you need to know is that there is a whole new baddie to hunt down on a water planet, taking place after the events of the main game. This of course means new enemies, weapons, vehicles like a submarine, which sure does fire like the Metal Slug tank, as well as levels and bosses that mess with water, including an underwater level, making me stand by my recommendation of this game even more. Some of you might have caught on to this during the Indie World Direct, where Mini Motorways has made its way to Switch, and along with that, the Night Lights free DLC. This update adds 2 new maps in Warsaw, Poland, as well as Chiang Mai, Thailand, as well as headlights for the night mode, but if you have not picked this up, there's no excuse not to do so. I've been following the development of Hydroneer for quite a while, since this is a tremendously successful sandbox mining game which combines the best aspects of games like Factorial, Satisfactory, and of course, Minecraft. They recently released the 2.0 update, which is very significant since it completely overhauled the game's code base so that it can cater to future updates, even adding split-screen multiplayer support via remote play, with new items, a new vehicle system, and more. I swear that this game's visuals have been upgraded significantly as well, but the best part is that this is not the end, with more content updates to come, truly being a standout in the genre. One of the bigger surprises, released again during the Nintendo Indie World Showcase, is that of Soundfall, a rhythm twin-stick shooter that is great, having a decent look, interesting rhythm gameplay, and some beautiful cutscenes. This is of course not the freshest of ideas, since there have been top-down games that use music and rhythm, but it's wild to me since I've had my eye on this way back when it was crowdfunding on Fig back in 2018, so to see it release is somewhat of a full circle for me, taking the #1 spot. For more rhythm or action-adventure games, watch these videos, and I will see you after the jump.